Hey guys, my name's Doug with OEMAutoPartsCo.com. Today we're in the 2009 to 2014 Ford F150 truck. This basic radio looks very familiar to a lot of you, this boring radio. Today we're going to show you how to upgrade from this system up to the premium Ford factory navigation radio. The tools you'll need is just a pry tool or a flathead screwdriver, a 7mm bit. That'll remove this particular center console section. The parts to upgrade we will include is a pre-programmed Ford navigation radio, a replacement bezel which is sold separately that comes in 4 or 5 different colors, and an installation kit which we call a brick install kit. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is remove this little cover here. And that'll give you access to 2 7mm or 9/32 screws. Once you remove those, you're going to want to pop off the lower portion of the bezel here. And it's just held in with retaining clips. Now if you have this sync panel here, control hub, you're going to want to pop this out to remove the last screw. You'll notice it here. Now to remove this bezel here, you're just going to want to pop these 2 side panels back just a little bit. It doesn't need to be completely removed. So you can do that with your little pry tool or flathead screwdriver. Just enough to get access to these clips here. We can now remove this bezel here. This is just now held in with retaining clips. Now what we're going to do is remove all the connectors that are on the back of this particular center stack panel. I'm going to go ahead and shut off the truck. And they're just held in by like the locking tabs. Now we just have 4 screws that hold in your radio module. And remove the connectors. Next, what we're going to want to do is install the GPS antenna. You'll notice in the brake kit it looks just like this. So in order to do that, we're going to run it right up here underneath the windshield, just beneath the dash top. So let's pull this little rubber piece out, and there's going to be 2 7mm screws there. I've already removed those, so once you do it, just lift up on this and slide it towards the windshield to remove this little cover plate. You can disconnect the center channel speaker if you have one and set it aside. Well, you'll notice back here there's a lot of different spots you could mount a GPS antenna. Some people will wedge it underneath a bracket. Some people will put double-sided tape on the back. For demonstration purposes, I'm just going to set it right up here on top of a metal brace. And then all you need to do is just route this antenna down to behind the radio. The next thing we're going to want to do is replace this right-hand steering wheel control. You'll notice a little red box in your brick kit. Which will have almost the exact same radio control, but this is a control for vehicles with navigation with sync. Now, if your truck doesn't have sync, you won't have to do this. The reason why we're replacing this is this existing control will not work with the sync navigation radio, but this one will. So what we're going to want to do, since this truck is equipped with sync, we're going to want to pop this out. And unplug the connector. Plug in the new one. And pop it into place. Now that we have the right side steering wheel control installed, we're going to need to run a connector from the clock spring down to behind the radio. Now, if your vehicle has Sony sound, you're going to need to cut off the Molex connector that comes with your kit, and then put or crimp on these two pins. Now, these pins are included with the brick kit. So if you have Sony sound, you need this with the cut connector and the two pins. If you don't have Sony sound, you can just use the existing connector that's in there, this little white Molex connector. Install the amplifier in your truck. It doesn't matter where it goes, it's plug and play. So you'll plug this connector in the back of the radio, plug your factory radio wiring into here, plug this connector in the back of the radio, and this little Molex connector is where you'll plug this into. But since we're in a vehicle right now that does have Sony sound, we won't be using this. I've already cut this off and crimped on the two pins. So let me show you how to do this. This lower steering column comes off, and it's just held in by 3 7/32 screws. Now this will just pop off. Sometimes what you have to do is just pop this down just a little bit. Now that that's removed, you'll see your clock spring connector right here. Just unplug it, and again, this vehicle has Sony sound, so we crimped on these two pins. Plug the existing connector into the female, and plug the male into the clock spring. Go. You'll hear it clip into place. Now this side of the wire, we're going to run down the steering column and then up behind the radio. What we're going to do now is pin this into the back of the C40 radio connector. You'll notice on the front here, it gives you the numbers. So 1 starts here, goes all the way to 12, 13 is here, 24 is there. So we know that the yellow needs to go to pin 16, and the red needs to go to pin 17. So if you flip it around, you'll notice right down here, We want to put the yellow into pin or slot 16. And the red into the 17. Make sure it snaps into place. If you need to, use a small flathead screwdriver to make sure those pins completely seat into their designated slots. We can now use this to plug in the back of the radio. Now that we have the Procedure 1 harness installed properly, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put on these brackets. Now in the brick kit, you'll see these metal brackets, radio brackets, in the box. If there is an existing bracket on here, just take it off and set it aside. Use the same screws and install the left and right radio bracket. So when you install it, it slides directly into place. Now at this point, what you're going to want to do before you do Procedure 2, plug everything in and install the radio. Fire up the truck, and if you press the sync button and it cannot hear your voice, we'll proceed with Procedure 2. Most of the pickup trucks will require Procedure 2, so we're going to go ahead and show you how to do that now. From whenever we install the GPS antenna, this is where your sync module is located. So what we're going to need to do is install the Procedure 2 harness from behind the radio to the connector that plugs into your sync module. So let's get started. So let's route the Procedure 2 harness from behind the radio up to the center of the dash. This will be the red and the blue pins. Now, you'll notice this connector here that's plugged into your sync module with the gray bracket. You're going to want to press the little button before the gray bracket, which will allow it to release. Move the bracket alongside the connector and it will automatically come out of place. This is the connector we're going to want to tap into. You'll notice on the bottom part here, there will be two little levers that you'll turn or move out in order to allow the shell to come off. Now that the shell's off, you're going to want to look at the connector and look for the numbers. You see the number 1 here, 18 here. We know that the blue needs to go to pin 13 or cavity 13, and the red to 12. You want to use your small flathead screwdriver to seat these in position. Remember, these only go in one way, so don't force it. I heard those both snap in, so that's a good connection. All we need to do now is slide the connector shell back over. You'll hear these two locking tabs snap into place. Now, plug that connector back into the sync module and fold the gray lever up over until you hear it clip into place. The Procedure 2 is now complete. Plug in the Procedure 2 harness into the female. And now the male is ready to plug in the back of the radio. So let's go ahead and install the radio now. You'll notice on the back of the radio there's a little yellow curry colored Fakra clip. That's for vehicles that have existing Sirius. If you don't have Sirius, you can purchase one of our antennas, which will plug directly into the back of the unit and mount on your roof. This particular customer doesn't care about Sirius, so we won't do that, but that is an option. Again, like I said, if you do have factory installed Sirius, you'll see a little yellow connector back here that'll plug in right here. Your GPS antenna will plug in here, AM, FM radio, and then whatever connectors you have in the back of your old system will plug directly into here. Okay, one of the next things we're going to want to do is take the components off of your original bezel which includes the climate control, the cigarette lighter, the sync part, if you remember, we popped out earlier. And then up here we have 3 button, and some of you may have 2 sets of 3 buttons. It's going to be the exact same process to take all of these components except for the radio portion and install them onto your new bezel. If you notice, if you flip them over, they're going to essentially be the exact same thing. Now keep in mind, these bezels are sold separately. They come in a variety of different colors from Metra online. You can also check out Amazon and eBay for it. This particular bezel has a 3-button set, so just make sure you get the exact same 3-button set here, or the opening for it, because it comes in a single opening and a dual opening. So to remove this up here, you squeeze in the tabs here and push it through the front. To remove the climate control, you'll notice 4 T20 screws. You take those all out, just take the module out and just set it right here and use the exact same screws to mount it. Then down here, there's a couple clips you push in for your cigarette lighter. That pushes out through the front, and you can then install it right on the new bezel. Okay, you'll notice I pulled this out and set it here. Climate control to here, and then the cigarette lighter. So this will now be your replacement bezel. This bezel here you can set aside for recycling or just keep it in your garage. Okay, now that we have all of our panels back into place, we use the same 4 screws to put in the radio, all the remaining screws and connectors here in the bezel. You'll notice this is our new bezel. It looks pretty good, factory finish. So let's fire it up and give it a shot. You'll notice right away I had the Ford splash screen. This particular vehicle does have the Sony sound, so we also program it for the Sony sound splash screen. So basically this is a home screen. These can be customized by pressing these buttons to figure out what you want on either side. Right now it's the radio here. It also comes equipped with satellite, like I mentioned before. AM radio as well. The media section is pretty cool. It has a built-in CD and DVD player. If you want to watch DVDs in motions, check out our website for our sync lockpick. It has the jukebox feature, which means you can load a bunch of your CDs onto the internal hard drive and be able to, scroll through and listen to, up to 2,000 different songs right here within the radio. User device would be your sync USB or 3.5 millimeter. Our sound, bass, treble, the normal stuff here, balance and fade. SCV is the speed compensated volume. So if it's loud outside, you can, it'll automatically adjust the audio. It has the equalizer bars there. Within the menus where you change the display, pretty much everybody wants it on auto day and night. Clock feedback settings would be whenever you press the sync button, it'll adjust that volume, or navigation prompts. System settings, valet mode. Seek up and down. Over here's the map feature. You notice it pinpointed our location immediately. Destination. It's like a traditional nav system. It gives you all your typical stuff, your nearest points of interest, standard routes. You can program addresses in the address book for quicker access, edit routes. Navigation, you have a long list of different navigation preferences that you can update and customize. The information tab, where am I? Travel link feature, which is a feature that comes with your Sirius subscription. It's an additional part of the subscription, but it will give you local fuel prices, movie listings, sports scores, weather maps, and radars. Also within the information tab here, you have calendar, more information about the system. Your phone, we don't have a phone connected at this time to the sync module, but you would just have to pair a phone, you'll be able to get it there. And last but not least, display. That'll just turn your display on and off. But this is an awesome nav system that we have here at OEMAutopartsCo.com. We carry a long list of really cool upgrades. You can add rear cameras, front cameras, side cameras. You can mirror your smartphone onto the screen. You can hook up a digital TV tuner to the screen so you can watch television on the screen. Just a long list of really cool things we offer on our website. All of our radios are programmed by navrepair.com. So you know you're getting a quality programming product there. So come reach out to us, OEMAutopartsCo.com, and we'll be more than happy to help you out.